It is here. The horror movie that everyone has been talking about for this summer is finally here. It's time to talk about weapons. So if you're like me, I have been hearing nothing but good things from early critics who got to see the movie early about weapons. Now, you know, my expectations going into this were here because, like I said, all I heard was good things. And I am, you know, just in a general sense, I am happy to say that I believe this is in my top 10 movies of the year. It does not disappoint. And I will not be talking, you know, major spoilers or anything like that. So if you're worried about that, you do not have to be worried about that. And let's talk about weapons. Have mercy, does this movie know how to tell its story in an order that hooks you instantly? The movie kind of does this thing where they tell the story not in one linear line, but rather from different perspectives of people in the town that are experiencing what's going on. And it's cool because you get to see, you know, a lot of times, like right after something happens or two characters interacted, you get to see it right away from that other character's standpoint. And the whole time you're like, oh man, like, cause you know about the kids and like what happened, but you really don't know like what's to blame. You don't know like what's actually happening. And there's all these guesses up in the air. And that's what makes the movie fun. A lot of times in horror movies, I feel like it's like, oh, well, I know it's a monster. Oh, well, like, I know it's this. Well, I know it's this, but I don't know exactly what it looks like. In this movie, you don't know if it's a monster. You don't know if it's like, you know, someone kidnapped the kids. You really don't know. It's a complete mystery. And that's the fun of this movie. Like I said, the use of switching different people to, you know, show different sides of this story and how different people are feeling is great. My two favorites were Julia Garner and Josh Brolin. To me, they were the standouts of this movie. They do a really good job of like having their own individual perspective on what's going on. And Josh Brolin, you know, plays this character that, you know, blames Julie Garner's character for like what happened. And he's like, you know, oh, like, how can you tell me that, like, you know, the teacher, you know, of this class and all but one student is missing, and you're telling me there's nothing she did? And the evolution of like him coming around and talking to her and understanding like, hey, she's just a teacher. She's just as confused as you are, and her wanting those answers. And it's just a really cool, like, watching it all unfold. Might I add, there's a lot of sequences, even just like illusions, or I don't want to call them illusions, but just like really trippy scenes that happen that really, you know, bleed into the more horror aspect than just like mystery, and it's great. Especially Josh Brolin's scene. The little boy that plays Alex in this movie just did a phenomenal job. He was probably one of my other favorite perspectives, just because that's where you really get all the answers that you're looking for. He's towards the very end of the movie. That's when you get all your answers. The way he is like not overreacting to everything, but you know, he is exactly what would happen if he had experienced everything that he experienced. I'm trying to kind of tiptoe around exactly what happened. So he does a really good job, you know, of how a boy would handle what's happening to him, and just kind of trying to not give everything away before the end of the movie happens. He does a really good job with it. The movie also does a pretty cool job of like the science behind what goes on. Like they're like, oh, well, every kid at 217, and that's obviously what you've seen in all the marketing. But when you're in the movie, it's like they make it a very thing. Like even Josh Brolin's character, you know, he gets like out like these maps, and he's like, okay, like if they left I saw them leave off of my ring doorbell, and like the mystery and trying to solve it all is really cool. Like I really got into that aspect of the movie because obviously you want those answers, and they really make you think and kind of work your way towards it in the movie. Now there are a couple of perspectives in the movie where I was like, okay, like this is definitely a little more of a filler thing. But it's still needed. It still, you know, makes it feel like a lived-in town. So everything, you know, contributes. And what's funny is that the character that makes the, you know, the big breakthrough is the character you would not expect to make the big breakthrough. The actual reveal of what was happening in this movie was creepy as hell. And like when it happens, it just happened. Like there's not, like you don't really feel much build up to it. You know there's something weird going on, and then it happens and it just goes off the rails from there. The main antagonist of this movie is also really well done. I don't want to speak too much on the, again, the main antagonist, even if it's, a guy or a girl or whatever it is, but just know this person is creepy, and when I was done, just kind of left me feeling like, wow, I hope I don't ever see anything remotely close to that. You heard me talk about the little boy Alex. He plays his role similar to like the idea of like he just wants everything to go back to normal. He is desperate for his normal life again. And without spoiling it, he's not having a normal life. He lost all of his classmates and everything, and just everything that's going around, all these questions that are being asked to him. He's just trying to get through it all, and meanwhile probably tackling the worst that this movie has to offer in terms of creepiness factor and what's being asked of him. Finally, I just gotta say, this movie really feels like they had a plan. Okay, this is how we're gonna do this. This is how we're gonna build up to this. And it feels like they just nailed it. It perfectly worked. And again, I don't want to say too much. It's hard to talk about this movie without talking about spoilers, which is exactly what I aim to do here. But they do a really good job of, setting out a course they have, bringing all the characters in to, kind of focus on this one main point of what this mystery is. Where do these kids go? How did the kids go? Why did they all leave at 2:17 in the morning? And, if you're a fan of horror, drama, kind of mystery movies, like I am, you will not be disappointed. So yeah, guys, that is my review for Weapons. Let me know down in the comments if you plan on seeing this movie this weekend. Again, I would definitely not skip out on this movie. I know this isn't as mainstream as a lot of other movies. I'm hoping it doesn't fly under the radar. I really hope this movie does good, because I'd love to get more movies like this one. But time will tell. I think the movie has a really solid cast. I think it has a solid plot, and just a really good mystery that, doesn't give itself away too early. So let me know what you guys all thought about the movie, or if you plan on seeing it this weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, Colonels.